Hodgkin's lymphoma, or HL, first described by Thomas Hodgkins, is a cancer of the lymphatic system, moreover the lymph nodes it contains. The lymphatic system contains lymph, a clear fluid traveling through it that carries waste and excess fluid from the tissue, white blood cells, and other immune system cells. This cancer is classified two ways, Hodgkin's and non-Hodgkin's. The difference is in the cells. To be classified Hodgkin's, Reed-Sternberg cells, duplication of a B cell that has undergone a hypermutation needs to be present. If not, then the cancer's lymphatic infection is classified as non-Hodgkin. So what was your dad's diagnosis?
Stage 3 classic Hodgkin's lymphoma.
What symptoms led to his diagnosis?
He had numbness in his legs and pain in his abdomen and back.
Did he feel any different after his first treatment?
Not immediately after, but about 10 days after he did. 12 doses of chemotherapy, 1 treatment every 15 days, and no radiation. Well, he had had pains for like 6 months prior to it, but they didn't know what it was. They thought he had a hernia at first, but for 6 months they just couldn't figure out what he had. So when they finally figured out what he had, he was relieved to find out that he had something that was curable. We were alright about it because it is curable.
What's the most comforting advice he was ever told?
Well, it wasn't really advice, but like the most comforting thing to him was that he didn't have to have radiation therapy because sometimes radiation therapy can lead to other cancers. So. That you're not gonna feel well, but just if you can mentally push through it, and just know that this family member isn't gonna be themselves for a while. They might say some things or do some things that they wouldn't usually do, but it's not them. It's because of the chemoradiation therapy.
Hodgkin's lymphoma did you have?
I had Hodgkin's nodular sclerosis. It was stage 2A.
What exactly were the initial symptoms that led you to diagnosis?
I just had a lump above my collarbone.
Okay. What kind of tests did they perform to confirm it was Hodgkin's?
A series of blood work. I had a biopsy of the lymph node, and I had a bone marrow biopsy.
When you received your diagnosis, what was your initial reaction like?
My initial reaction, it was like awful, but my initial reaction was the first question I asked was if I was going to lose my hair. And I know it's like crazy to say that, but it was honestly like the first question I had because I didn't really understand what it was going to entail in treatment.
What kind of doctors helped you? Like what specialists did you go see?
I had just an oncologist primarily, but I went.
How did your lifestyle change after diagnosis?
I changed my eating habits like pretty drastically, pretty much right after I was diagnosed, because of, as like I said, cancer didn't run in my family or anything, so I was trying to correlate it, like why did this happen to me? And so I changed my eating habits. I was always pretty healthy as far as like active and working out, but mostly I just made a pretty drastic change on what I put in my body.
She had to overcome many things in her life, but she never let her treatments get her down. Even though she was drained of energy, she always found time to go out with friends and have a good time. Her bright spirit was what helped her get through her treatments.
There were dark times for sure, but I always knew that I wanted to like live, so there was never a question like where I wanted to give up. It was just more so like it got depressing at times for sure.
Did you have a hobby or something that helped you get through it?
I actually started scrapbooking when I was diagnosed. I found that was like something fun for me to do because I would sit at home and rest after chemo, and I didn't really have a lot of energy to do stuff, so I started scrapbooking, and then I started obviously writing my book.
With Lauren during the time of her Hodgkin's was we were roommates. We had been friends for about almost 10 years at that point in time, but at the time of her diagnosis and through mostly everything, I was her roommate. I met Lauren in 2000 or what was it? 1999. So that was almost like 7-8 years when it actually happened. So all through high school and through college we were best friends, and then at the time we were just happened to be roommates.
So how was it like?
It was very emotional, like the first word that comes. I had a specific job at the time that made me a little bit more relatable to what she was going through because of what I happened to be doing for work at the time. So it wasn't as probably shocking as it would have been maybe to our other friends. But I will always remember that night when Lauren walked into my room and told me that her parents had gotten a scan and it might be abnormal, and I just was like, there's no way. And it was really hard, and I think the hardest part for me was that we're both very controlling, and I wanted to help control her situation through her treatment, her attitude, and her emotions, and that was the hardest part. Let them be them. I would go toe-to-toe with Lauren about how she needed to act and how she needed to feel, and just let them be them. They can be completely normal, they can be completely irrational, they can be completely emotional, all in an hour time span. Just let them do them. Be there, don't not be there for them, but you gotta just let things run their course, how they're gonna be for that person. How you would personally go through cancer is not like how anyone else is going to go through it, and that's another big thing that I learned, is that it's such a personal thing. There's a lot of things we all kind of go through as people, but I feel like cancer is one of those specific things that's going to run its course for that person.
In September, it is Lymphoma Awareness Month. Did you know Hodgkin's lymphoma has a 90 to 95% chance of survival with a type 1 or 2 diagnosis? Did you know that this cancer is not classified as a threat because it is curable with treatment, especially when caught early? Both Amanda, who spoke as a family member of an HL patient, Lauren, who spoke as an HL survivor, and Corey, who spoke as a caregiver and friend, seem to agree on one thing. Hodgkin's lymphoma and cancer in general should not be feared but fought against. This disease, which infects the lymph nodes and white blood cells in the body, is nothing compared to the modern medicines and techniques available to treat and cure it. From doctor to patient to friend, the consensus is anything is possible if the patient and those around keep a good morality and mentality, a positive attitude, and find an occupation to help the course of treatment flow faster. For Lauren, it was the love of piecing pictures, papers, and designs together to create marvelous pages for a scrapbook. For others, it may be playing music, taking peaceful walks, or even just sitting and talking with family and friends. Whatever the case may be, one thing is for certain. In this world of progression and healthcare, nothing is impossible, uncurable, or unimaginable. One must only have the will to fight.
Despite cancer setback in her life, Lauren made it through treatment and has been enjoying life to its fullest. Since last November, she has been in remission for 5 years. After this long and trying experience, she wrote a book about her journey, full of wit, humor, and sarcasm. You can find Lauren's spirit on every page and witness a bit of what it's like to live with cancer. In her book, under About the Author section, she states, "The experience allowed me to learn so much about not only the disease itself, but about life, and the life I wanted to live. After my diagnosis, I was quick to learn that life is short and should never be taken for granted."